Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Dr. Galina, and I'm happy to do this workshop today with you guys for harnessing the elements. It's 5 practical TCM self-care tips for veterinary professionals. It's sponsored by Vet Badger, so thank you for sponsoring this webinar. I don't know if you guys know about Vet Badger, but it's an all-in-one practice management software that puts relationships first. Vet Badger provides all the communication, team workflow, and medical management tools that you may need to run an efficient practice and get home to the relationships that matter most. If you are interested in a free demo or a 30-day free trial, please visit vetbadger.com and see what they have to offer. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce myself a little bit. I wear many hats, but I am a veterinarian who is also a veterinary acupuncture, certified in veterinary acupuncture, certified in veterinary food therapy through the Chi University in Florida. And I actually graduated vet school at the Ontario Veterinary College in Guelph in Canada. And I also work with the AVMA the last few years as a well-being educator. So I put together my love of well-being with my love of traditional Chinese medicine to use some self-care tips that I can share. So here I live in Costa Rica since the pandemic back in 2020. I'm not a fully practicing veterinarian anymore, but I still offer acupuncture and holistic medicine down here to some patients. There's a photo of me here doing acupuncture at a wine shop and on a horse and at a farm. The picture at the bottom in my scrubs is when I worked in Toronto when I first started doing acupuncture back in 2012 with a very old kitty named Bagheera, who was 18 at the time. So we're going to go through 5 different modules that are organized as the 5 branches of traditional Chinese medicine that are based on 5 elements. And we have 5 easy tips that you can also have some freebies at the end that include some of the information that we'll cover in take-home format. So you have the power. Self-care is not optional. Please remember this. We need it to function as humans and as professionals. So what are the 5 branches of traditional Chinese medicine? So we have acupuncture or acupressure, which is what most people are familiar with. We're going to go through some techniques and some frequency, and this is based on self-care, but you can also use some of these points and techniques for your patients as well. I'll leave it up to you whether you would like to use needles or just acupressure. Acupuncture needles are specifically for this type of work, so I wouldn't use regular needles. However, I have in the past when I was in practice. The second branch is herbal therapy. I've included supplements, herbal formulas, which are, the traditional, Chinese formulations, as well as some Western formulas. Also, essential oils fall into this category, as well as teas. There is a little bit of an overlap with the third category, which is food therapy, as you can see with the teas. In this category, we're going to go through a little bit of the 5-element theory because you need the 5-element theory to understand food therapy and how to use different foods for their different properties and their different functions. We're also going to learn a little bit about eating for balance and certain foods that may be supportive. The 4th branch is manual therapy, and this is massage. For traditional Chinese medicine, there is a specific type of massage called tuna or tunai, and there are specific techniques that we will go through that we can use to help benefit different areas of the body, different techniques. And the 5th element or the 5th branch is the mind and body movement. So this takes the form of yoga, for example, or Tai Chi, Qigong, or in my case, I'm a PADI open water scuba instructor. So for me, I also use scuba as a mind-body movement meditation. The main thing is that you're combining the mind, body, and spirit together and you're focusing on the movement. So let's start with the first branch, which is the acupuncture and acupressure. I love the saying that acupuncture is proof that stabbing someone can make things better. This is my sixth sense of humor, so bear with me. But I will show you some points for stress, anxiety, headaches, and if you prefer to use acupressure technique, then the main technique is pressing and holding the point with either the thumb or the 2-finger technique for 1 to 2 minutes to get the result. With acupressure, you're typically doing it more frequently, so 3 to 4 times a day, or you're doing acupuncture if you're using needles for about 20 to 30 minutes. You're leaving those in place once a day, and actually once a week even is okay with acupuncture. It has more of a residual effect. So let's go through the techniques. So the first technique is the thumb technique. So you're going to use the soft and fleshy part of your thumb, and it's at a 45 or a 90-degree angle to the body. And it's best to use the thumb technique on larger parts of the body, more muscled areas. So the trunk of the body, larger limbs, the neck, the shoulder area, those are all good areas. Or if you want to use the 2-finger technique, this would be where you're using your middle finger over your index finger, your pointer finger, and then you're making a little bit of a small tent and you're applying pressure with that third middle finger. And again, you're doing it at a 45 or 90-degree angle. And this will be used on softer parts of your body like the face, the eyes, perhaps the sinuses, and we'll go through the points on the next slide. So what are the common points for stress and anxiety and insomnia? I've just added in this little video of a howler monkey acupuncture I was doing. The monkey was actually awake, not sedated. Oh, sorry, go back. I'll just pause that. There we go. So this was with a local vet at one of the local wildlife centers that I help out at. The howler here had fallen out of a tree. Electrocution is an issue in this country. So we were doing some acupuncture with the electro unit for partial paralysis, actually. So as well as pain. So let's go through some of the points that we will commonly use for stress, anxiety, and insomnia for ourselves. So, apologies. We have byway, which is byway or GV20, governing vessel 20, depending on the species. It's governing vessel 20 for animals or byway in people. It's called 100 meeting places, and it's an activation point at the top of the head. We also have Taiyang, which is called the Great Sun. It's behind the eyes. We're probably used to using this one already for headaches. There's also large intestine 4, which is called Converging Valley. This is between the thumb and the index finger. There's Gallbladder 20, which is at the back of the neck. It's called Wind Palace. It's below the skull, just between the occipital bones and the first vertebrae, I guess, this C1. And we'll look at that a little bit closer later. And then there's pericardium 6, which is called the inner pass. It's below the wrist between the 2 major tendons here. This is also the one that you would commonly see, people that go on boats that have those bands that they use for motion sickness. So that's actually the pressure point that they're putting pressure on, is that pericardium 6. It's for nausea, also heart palpitations or anxiety, also nausea related to stress. So, and the last point would be yin tong or long way. So again, it's a different name of the point depending if you're a human or an animal. Long Wei is the name in animals. Yin Tong is the name in humans. And this is the Hall of Impressions, and it's where your third eye is. Okay, so the governing vessel point, as I mentioned, is at the top of the head. This is in kind of where the best way to describe it is where previously you would have had a fontanelle and that had closed. So it's basically your crown. And some people have a double crown, so you could actually have 2 points. But I would just feel around where you think your crown is and feel if there's any sensitive area. And it sometimes feels like a depression. So if you find that, that's usually your governing vessel 20, or that if you're an animal, or byway if you're a human. So this is a great point for calming, for stress, for anxiety. It helps to focus. I used to use it for studying a lot, actually. And it's very easy to find, and it also lifts the spirit. So it actually lifts your mood as well. So if you're in a bad mood, this is great point. This next point, the Tai Yang point behind the eyes, this is the best one, I think, for headaches and for dizziness, especially if you've been on the computer for long, extended periods of time. You get, it reduces eye strain, and it actually can help with visual acuity. So if you've been focusing on something and then you try and, look at something else, you get that fuzziness. So this helps with that. It also can clear sinus congestion. So if you want to just try an experiment, just have a normal breath, like a normal deep breath without pressing on that point. Just see how those sinuses feel, and then try pressing with both hands on either side at that point, and then breathe in and see if that makes any difference. If it's a little bit easier, you should feel a little bit more open sinus pathways. And then the other point is the Yin Tong or Long Wei point. This is the calming of the mind. It reduces stress and alleviates various conditions like anxiety and insomnia. So it's especially good for insomnia. The next point is the large intestine 4. So as mentioned, it's between the thumb and the index finger. It's in the fleshy part. This is actually the end of your ulnar nerve. So there's a big nerve bundle right at that spot. So it's actually a master point. It's considered a master point for the head and neck area. So also for shoulder strain or neck pain, this is also a good point. So it's good for pain relief, headache reduction, stress management, and this is actually also a great point for nausea and immune support. Again, this is a master point, so large intestine 4 is used for the immune system quite a bit. Next is gallbladder 20. So as I mentioned, it's sort of up under the skull, in the big depressions beside the large tendons. So it's actually on the outside of the depressions. So if you want to just have a feel, it's easier to feel it actually if your neck is tilted slightly upwards, a little bit of an angle. That's the easiest way to feel it. It's great for headache, stress, neck and shoulder pain, fatigue, also good for nausea and dizziness. And it does help a little bit with the blurred vision and cold and flu support. This is because it clears heat. So a lot of times we will get buildup of heat. And, it's almost like the old joke, your wheels are turning so fast, you're generating heat when your brain is working overtime. So this actually is a great point for that. And then the last point is pericardium 6. As mentioned, this is also great for nausea. The C-bands work really well. Actually, if you have a set of C-bands, you might want to just wear them at work when you can, when you're sitting on the computer doing your records, as an example. Also, it's potentially used as an aid for calming the nervous system. In Chinese medicine, it's related to the heart. So, and the heart is the area of stress. It's where we keep our stress and our brain fog. So this point is also great for insomnia, promoting relaxation, and also good for heart health. So the next module we're going to go through is herbal medicine. So as mentioned, this I've included as supplements, herbal formulas, essential oils, and teas. So for supplements, this is a huge topic, by the way. So in the Chi University, they have 5 modules for this topic. So I've just really kind of condensed it as much as possible. But in a nutshell, we have Eastern and Western varieties of supplements. Some of you may be familiar with some of the supplements, especially on the Western side, like chamomile, valerian root for calming and anxiety, turmeric and ginger for nausea and anti-inflammatory effects. On the Eastern side, jujube, those are like the little red-looking fruits. You can buy them they actually sell them at most grocery stores these days, as well as licorice root and mung beans. Those are great for the same things as far as calming. And herbal formulas, you can use various versions. Again, I think they sell these more commonly now in the pharmacy section. Some of them will be familiar. The one that I love to use, actually, especially in the wintertime up north, now I don't use it so much living in Costa Rica full time, but in the wintertime, yin chow was fantastic. I found that if I could use this herbal formula preventatively, I wouldn't necessarily get the usual cold and flus that were going around, but also I found that it boosted my energy in general, and it helped with reduce all the stress that comes along with having low energy and being sick. So it was a nice overall formula that I like to use. Also, you can use things like goji berries, astragalus, ginseng, and schisandra berries for stress. Essential oils are great. You can have them going as an aromatherapy in the office. You can have them as a topical, as drops that you put, just on your skin, or roll-ons. Obviously, lavender is probably the most common one that we know of for calming purposes, but there's a lot of other ones that work on our nervous system and the vagal feedback system as well. So things like ylang ylang, bergamot, vetiver, frankincense is really great for headaches. I used to use it for my migraines a lot. And I think there's actually some research behind frankincense for head trauma. So that's a very easy one to do. You can even have it, I used to have it going through at the clinic as well. I found certain formulas were great for fractious cats. So there's added bonus to aromatherapy. Also, teas are great. Again, if you're, just sitting in your office doing notes or lunch breaks, you can incorporate, instead of, sugary drinks, you can switch them out for green tea. Specifically, it has L-theanine, or you can use whatever version you like. So you can use your favorite herbal teas or flowers or spices to make, the perfect concoction that's calming for you, because everybody's a little different. But green tea has proven stress reducing and anxiety effects through the L-theanine component. So the next module we're going to go through is food therapy. Here's where we need to go through a little bit of the 5-element theory. So traditional Chinese medicine has 2 general theories. One is the 5 elements theory, and one is the yin yang theory. The 5 elements theory is based on the principle that the universe, or everything in the universe, including ourselves, are made up of 5 elements. So there's wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And these elements are associated with different body organs and systems, as well as colors and tastes. So different foods are classified into these 5 elements categories, as well as being classified into yin yang theory, which is hot and cold. So yin is your cold and yang is your hot. So certain foods can be cold. So yin foods can be cold, and they can be used to treat hot conditions. So for example, a cold food would be something like seaweed or celery. A yang food are considered hot and can treat cold conditions or conditions of deficiency. So for example, a yang food would be something like a chili pepper, a spicy chili pepper. We know that when we eat a spicy chili pepper, the temperature in our body will actually increase. So that would be considered a hot. The elements, so certain foods are classified by element and by temperature. So for example, since we are made up of, we might have certain elements that are more dominant in our constitution. So perhaps we are made up of all the elements, but we are more wood or more fire in our personalities or in our constitutions. So in that case, if we are a wood, then the associated organ would be your liver or your gallbladder, or your, as well as tendons and eyes. So people with wood constitutions, for example, could expect to have more issues with their liver, their gallbladder, their tendons, and their eyes. They can also be more needing foods that are green in color. So green is usually a sign of chlorophyll, vitamin B12, and iron. So perhaps as a wood constitution, your body needs more of those nutrients. The taste that's associated with that is a sour taste. So that is actually a healthy taste for you to eat on a regular basis if you have a wood constitution. So that is how we use the 5-element theory with food therapy. It is a little bit confusing, so I have, as one of my freebies, there's a handy chart that explains this a little bit more and classifies some of the foods into the different conditions. But you would also want to look at not only your constitution, the element of the food, the temperature of the food, but also the environmental temperature. So we eat for seasonality and we also eat for balance. So let's go through that a little bit more in the next slide. So for optimal health, according to Chinese medicine principles, you want to find out, first of all, what is your constitution? So on this slide, I have a great quiz that I found. It's actually in Vermont. It's an acupuncture. It's an acupuncture clinic that has this really, really great quiz that tells you what your constitution is, what problems you might be more sensitive to, and what type of exercises, what type of foods might be helpful for that type of constitution. The other thing I mentioned as far as the season, you want to eat foods according to temperature and humidity shifts and seasonal foods that are available, because those will be the highest in nutrients for that particular season and temperature. So for example, in the fall, we want to eat more soups with, squash, pumpkin, and turnips, because those are more readily available. The other thing with eating for balance is that everything is in moderation. So you want to balance your diet with variety, because in Chinese medicine principles, too much of a good thing is also bad. And I'm sure we heard our grandmothers saying this as well. So you want to eat, so for example, in Chinese medicine, you're not really supposed to eat very, very hot foods or very, very cold foods. You want things that are more room temperature and less extreme in their temperatures. So instead of boiling water, that's why green tea is just below boiling point when they make it. For also, food therapy can be used as treatment. So foods can have specific properties that can correct certain disease conditions. So for example, if you are anemic or an animal is anemic, then perhaps you will be feeding things like bone marrow or liver that are high in iron and vitamin B12 to help stimulate the animal's own bone marrow or your own production of those cells. Another example would be omega-3s. So if you have heart disease or skin or allergy issues, then omega-3s can help correct or be used as a treatment for those conditions. So next module, or the next branch, is manual therapy. So this is, as I mentioned before, the type of massage that traditional Chinese medicine has is called tuna, and it has various techniques that can help alleviate stress, anxiety, and headaches through kneading, pressing, and rolling, which aim to balance energy flow along the different meridians that are also the acupressure or acupuncture points. So you can use manual therapy at those points for more effect. So for self-massage, you want to focus on, especially for stress and headaches and anxiety, because it's going to be mostly around the head and neck area. So you want to focus on gentle circular motions and like at the temple and along the acupressure points that we've already gone through. So let's go and explore that a little bit further. So we have the different techniques, which are pushing. Pushing. So in this technique, you would use the thumb to gently push upwards. So for example, if you're using yin tong, you want to push up towards the hairline. And this is a little bit awkward when you're doing it on yourself, obviously. So if it feels a little awkward, you can also use a 2-finger technique or a modified 2-finger technique like this, where the fingers are just parallel as opposed to on top of each other. So there's a modification there. Also, there's the kneading technique, which is more with the knuckles. So you're going to apply circular pressure with the fingertips or the knuckles to the yin tong point or the tai yang points here. So you can use that for to calm the mind and ease headaches. Here it's probably easier to do the circular motion here. Then you have rubbing, which is just a light rubbing of the forehead. So you might want to do this around tai yang, especially, where you get pressure, if you get pressure headaches. You can also use it with the palm of your hand if you want more pressure or more strength. It helps to improve blood flow, and it also reduces tension. So this is a good technique. You can also use this at the back of the neck. But probably a better technique for the back of the neck is the grasping and pinching. So a good example of that is the gallbladder 20 point. So you can just kind of grasp like this with two hands, with the thumb and then the rest of your hand like a claw. And then you just press and pull up. So it's hard to see, but that's basically what you're doing. And then you're starting at the base of the skull and pulling up. So this is great for pressure, for neck pain, for headaches. And then the rolling is where you're rolling with the back of the hand. This one's a little bit tougher to show you. It's probably easier to do with the knuckles forward along the legs, like along the hamstrings or along the top of the thighs. So those are the various techniques. Choose whichever one is comfortable, whichever one you like to use. And then lastly, the final branch is the movement and the meditation. So as I mentioned before, this is basically where you're putting your mind, your body, and your spirit together. So really, a lot of the time, what you're using is your breath to connect your mind with your body. So you're doing a physical activity that you're focusing on each physical movement that you're doing. So for example, Tai Chi or Qigong, where you're taking a breath and you're doing the motion in a very particular pace. Same with yoga, but this can also be dancing or conscious breath work or intentional walking, like one of the popular things is forest bathing. So that is a type of movement and meditation that you can use. It helps to enhance circulation, release tension, promote energetic balance. it's by aligning the mind, the breath, and the body, these practices reduce stress, and it also helps you to be aware of what's going on in your body, so that you are, when you're practicing in the moment, like say, you know, an angry client is yelling at you, you can drop into your body more readily and understand what you're feeling along with those emotions, so that you can control your reactions and not let those emotions take you away, so to speak. So this is actually a really great practice to help you with things like communication, which don't seem like they're related, but they really truly are, because you need a calm mind and a functioning body to be able to approach these things from that place, and to be able to maintain that sense of calm and confidence. So this encourages a deeper connection to one's internal state. So it fosters holistic health in general. So we're going to go through a little practice technique that I like to do. And I used to use this technique quite often in the bathroom when I used to work at the emergency clinic. So traditional Chinese medicine, I came to through my own struggles with well-being and anxiety and stress. So all of these techniques, all of these things I use for myself to help to, you know, balance what the daily stressors of our very, very involved profession. So, so this was called shaking and swinging breath. So either an office or a bathroom, you only need a couple moments. You can also do it a very abbreviated version just before an appointment, like walking into an appointment, where you basically just use the breathing, maybe not the shaking and the swinging, but at least the breathing technique. So this is basically a blend of Qigong and mindful breath work. This technique helps to release tension, improve circulation, and calm the nervous system. Why it works: it encourages full body relaxation by loosening the muscles and joints. We hold a lot of tension in our muscles and joints, and also specifically in our neck and shoulders. So when we do this exercise, we focus a lot more on the neck and shoulders specifically. You're also promoting, it promotes deep breathing to oxygenate the body and calm the nervous system. So it's a physiological response. Obviously, when you're breathing in deeply, you're stimulating that vagal response. So your body has to calm down. We use this technique in scuba as well, especially for panic attacks, because this happens underwater more often than people expect. But you can get through it. So, and this is how we do it with the breathing techniques. So this is an easy yet powerful way to reset your energy and ease stress through movement and breath. So if you can focus your stress and your anxiety on a physical sensation, it has been shown through research that this helps to dissipate that and lets your body release those tensions. So let's all stand up. I'm on my phone here, so I'm gonna try and do this together with you, but I'm gonna put my phone down here, and you're gonna just stand up and just kind of shake things out a little bit. Take a nice deep breath in, relax, and then just start to swing your arms a little bit from side to side. You might want to take a deep breath in through the nose on one side and exhale as you go to the other side through your mouth. Then, when you're ready and you feel nice and loose, you want to take a nice big inhale, swing your arms up, and then exhale, drop your arms down, and just let things hang loose. And then you want to repeat this technique about 3 or 4 times at least. If you can do it for a minute or two, this will give you the most effect. So you can, as I said, you can do this at any time, anywhere, which is a very handy de-stress technique. And a lot of times if you're sitting on the computer or doing your records, this is a nice little break to remind yourself to maybe set a timer. Just get up so that you can get the blood flow and get yourself everything stretched out. So this is, as I mentioned, we have some freebies based on the 5 branches that we just went through. This is on my website on puravitawellness.com/freebies. There's an acupressure points chart with all the points that we went through, but feel free, as I mentioned, if you want to use it as an acupuncture point instead, if you feel comfortable, that's great. There's an essential oil recipe for calming and stress. There's a recipe and food energetics chart, a 2 techniques chart, and then the shaking and swinging breath chart. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar and workshop. Please feel free to keep in touch. Send me an email or a message. I actually run well-being retreats down here in Costa Rica. Sometimes I have these wonderful speakers and sometimes it's just different meditation trainings. So please check us out. And if you're interested, come join us in the Blue Zone in Costa Rica. Thank you so much.